Hello, Internet. My name is Chamomile.
And I'm Requiem.
And, Requiem,
Yeah.
where are we? For the viewer's sake, I want to be clear here. As far as I can tell, we are in some kind of hallway between bookshelves, as though some kind of library or bookstore hall, just stretching endlessly in all directions. I can't remember how we got here. So, like,
it's the library
with
of
that
the
context, where are we?
The Library of the Unwritten. Come on, we got to keep moving.
The library of the what now?
It's the Library of the Unwritten. It's where all the books that could be written but haven't been written are stored. It's part of the maze that forms Arkansas. We got to keep moving, or Borges will find us.
Right. Just do me a favor real quick. Can you hand me that big book over there? Just...
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Sure.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Who is this jog guy? I'm supposed to talk to him.
You might be wondering if there is a Minotaur in the library, and yes, it is the librarian.
There we are.
Praised, you finally returned, my good friend. Christian told me how you helped him at the Temple of the Elk. Thank you for heeding my request. My heart is calm.
Apparently we got a quest from this guy. I completely forgot about that.
I follow the will of my God. I would like to reward your bravery. I possess
Oh hey, scroll removed by this.
Take this as a token of appreciation. As far as I know, your next target looks to be the...
Okay, so this is the library of all the books that could be written but haven't been.
Yeah.
How well organized is it?
Very poorly.
That's a shame. Because it occurred to me, like, you know, that book that I'm trying to write right now, could I just go and find it here?
I will gladly aid you on your noble quest.
I mean, in theory, but you would have to find the book that gives you the information about where to find books, and if you find it, then Jorge Luis Borges will find you and kill you.
I trust in their truth. These visions...
Which is why we gotta keep moving.
Wait.
If he finds out we're here, he's gonna feed us to the Aleph.
But... Do you have the book that tells you where to find the books?
Of course not. Why would you even ask that? Let's just keep moving.
Well, because you said that, like, you know...
We'll keep moving. Cam. Don't ask questions. But if you could just, like... Let's grab that book, and if you just put them in your backpack. And that one also.
I mean, okay.
And youth is a time of naivete and confusion. But I see kindness and strength of spirit in him, traits indispensable to a priest. I sense that all that's transpired thus far is only...
Is he trying to convert us?
I can't tell.
I
don't know what he's
talking about Tristan. Are you talking about Tristan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's getting at, though. As far as I can tell, he's basically taken 2 or 3 paragraphs to say that he is a servant of Aristil. Which people in fiction do that sometimes, where it's like, by the way, have I mentioned that I am of a fantasy deity faith?
So, fun fact about... fun is in quotation marks here. In the earlier versions of Galarian, Erastil had this whole thing where he was sexist and is lawful good. There's this weird, like... They love shoving in, like, weird sexism into the game where it's really not necessary.
Yeah, we set out on our journey with 2 twinks, and Tristan here is our reserve twink, who... alas, is wearing like 3 layers, but
needs to step it up. Does the Stolen Lands have a gay bar we could take him to?
I mean, it might not yet, but – once we're in charge. Why isn't that a mod? Random encounter. Let's fight it for the tasty, tasty XP. It's kind of annoying how it's like, oh, you have spotted a random encounter. Would you like to fight or evade? Well, we spotted it. What does it appear to be? Because, my answer's going to change based on whether or not this random encounter is a couple of wolves or, like, a troll pack.
Serves you right.
The dreaded were shambling mound. Which, you ask yourself, is that a person who got bitten by a shambling mound and now they turn into a shambling mound at the full moon? Is that a shambling mound that got bitten by a werewolf and now it wolfs out at the full moon? Which of those is more terrifying?
Oh, come on, Kieran, step it up.
So since we're fighting Tasmanian tigers, obviously the stolen lands are actually based on Australia. So everyone should be speaking in Australian accents. But actually, now that I think about it, would improve the game significantly.
I mean, honestly, you joke because Australian accents are the best accents, but having this place be recognized as the Australian in theme would be a lot more original than what they've got.
And it would give an excuse for the best accent. They really need to let us write his backstory.
Right? Like, it's just text. You're so close. It also makes me wonder, is there an option we're missing?
There might end up being an option we're missing, I'll bet. Because we've discovered that you actually can pick your NPCs level ups, the premium NPCs level up.
I think while I was setting up this game, both to make sure it worked for the recording and just to get the options set up properly off screen so I didn't have to spend 15 minutes, on the options menu. And while I was doing that, I think I actually ticked off the option to, or I ticked on the option to auto level. Which I
didn't have to.
Because I wanted to spend less time on the character level up screen. It's good gameplay, right? Like, leveling up is fun, especially in a system like Pathfinder, where because it's tabletop, the level ups have converged on every level, giving you some kind of significant power boost. It's not like a Final Fantasy thing where, like, maybe every 5 or 6 levels you will notice.
That is one thing that Pathfinder tried to do better than 3rd edition, with having there be a choice at every level, like having demonstrably things that you get every level, not having any dead levels.
Or levels where, all you get is a boring numerical bonus. Where it's, your +3 is now a +4. Merry Christmas.
Like, you usually at least get, like, oh, I get a new spell known, or I get a special ability or something. That is definitely an improvement.
I tire.
So guess what new race Wrath of the Righteous is going to feature?
I mean, my first guess would be Aasimar, but that one got into this one, so...
Yeah, just assume that everything, all the races, I'm pretty sure all the races in this one are included, but there's going to be at least one more new one that, and I know what it is, but what do you think it is? So it's not an Aasimar, it's not a Tiefling, it's not a Goblin.
I don't know, Naiad?
It is not.
Like, I'm trying to think of Pathfinder races outside of the core ones that I give a fuck about, and I'm drawing a blank, so...
It's a Kitsune.
Ah! really my only surprise is that it's not the cat girl.
I don't.
The cat girl was on the list. They did a vote, and it was between Kitsune, cat girl, and rat folk. I guess probably not cat girl specifically, cat folk, but
Gotta be honest, I've completely forgotten why you guys were taken prisoner.
I think everybody might be fatigued, or are we flat-footed or something?
Nah, we all got fatigued like right as we arrived, and I was like, fuck it.
Sullivan in the tabletop version did not have a lot of blasts that she used. She did
You
get
deserve
lightning bolt
better.
eventually, and she was pretty good with that.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of eventually resigned herself to getting a bit of blasty magic because our party was so small that,
Blasting is relatively suboptimal in Pathfinder. There's special abilities sorcerers get where you can actually do blasting pretty well, but for the most part, you're better doing a save or die. How many attacks of opportunity was that?
3, I think? Oh, is there another battle? Who with?
There's something here. Oh, it's right down into your
Yeah,
down to the left.
there they are. Okay.
Bring it!
Viewers can no doubt tell that I did not get a new mouse for Christmas. This one is a little bit finicky, but ah,
Anything else?
Did we talk about what kind of Fey Prince and Grey was last episode? I don't remember.
Can you make an epic pose? I need
I don't think we did.
Alright. So then we talked a little bit of... We talked about the love triangle, but I don't know if we
Yes.
talked about... He's a Choksani, which is a Pathfinder original Fey. They drain color. The Choksani, their art, they just don't have faces, and they're kind of like weird spiral colors on their bodies. For the game, I did a black and white drawing of a hot guy.
Which the basic idea is cool. I like your interpretation of it better. And I mean, in fairness, I like your interpretation of it better because it's basically a vampire. But yeah, it's a person with no color who goes and steals color from other people. That's cool.
Wretched things.
Can I not? I guess that summon doesn't count as a real thing yet. There we go. Oh no. Okay. All right. There. We'll just throw it at the caster instead. That works.
Stand down.
Yes.
Stop it. Stop summoning stuff.
She's biting off our style.
I go down.
Miss Sullivan has not actually summoned something yet.
Yeah, she has an animal companion that is like supposed to be a summon, and two twink friends who are kind of summons. We're fluffing it as a summoning thing.
I can't drown her is the thing. And this is Sullivan as like the hero. You could also ask them questions, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a slaver. I feel like we go Conan on this person, actually. I forgot that this was a slaver.
So I'm gonna go with, yeah, she made me angry.
That chaotic evil example, the answer was an example of like how you never do evil in a way that like anyone would ever pick. I haven't time
Right.
for games with you. Die. Why would anyone do that? Even a very selfish, self-centered person.
Oh, I didn't mean like right now. Or really ever. I just meant like, do you want to hang out at Oleg's trading post and possibly be available to fill, like, positions in my government?
Yeah, neither of you look like twinks.
We've got a theme here. Okay, do I have to go all the way back over here for the exit? Where's the exit? There we go.
So Miri's clearly a fit girl. I guess Jaethal would technically be a waif, right? Because like she probably doesn't have like any internal organs.
I mean, it's hard to tell exactly. Like, she can't be too thick because then you would be able to see even under the robes, but like, she could be basically any body type.
And what about Lindsay?
I think, and this might just, I don't really have a good look at her, but I think Lindsay is like on the thick end. Like, she's not maximum thick, for sure, but
She hasn't taken that feat yet.
Some food would be nice. And some booze. When I get to a tavern, I'll lock myself inside and won't come out until all the barrels are empty.
These little camping dialogues have already gotten boring, and we've not even done with the first act.
yeah. Like, they're a cool idea, but with the frequency with which you have to camp and having one of them in, like, every single camp, it's just, there's too many. There's too many, and these characters only have so much to say. It certainly doesn't help that one of them, Harim, which is out of our party now, so there's that, but like, he seemed to have the most dialogue, and he also, are these fire elementals in the middle of a rainstorm? These guys are going to have a bad time.
Are any of them twinks, though?
They don't appear to be, so we're going to kill them all.
One of Solon's summons, who didn't really get a personality because he's just an elemental, was a fire elemental. There was one point, because so Solon had her, like, 4 elemental summons that she would sometimes pull out when she just needed a beat stick. And they all had names and, like, very vague personalities, because they're, like, intelligence, like, 3 or 4 creatures. We were in the courtyard while the Fae hang out, and you were describing what they were doing, and you said 2 of the elementals were debating elemental philosophy. I was like, they're like intelligence 4, and you're like, they're trying their best. One thing, like, I like the idea of there being, like, Fae that showed up who weren't, like, actually summons. Like, maybe they're, like, little, like, flower fairies sweating in the garden. Like, it never came up in the game, but...
Right.
I like the idea that there's some Fae hanging out who are not gonna show up for summons because they're not, like, combat capable. But, like, having, like, some pixies tending her garden.
Yeah.
Although pixies aren't really flower fairies in Pathfinder, they're like 3 feet tall or something. They should be itty bitty. If you're telling me something's a pixie, I should be able to fit it in my hand.
Right. Like, that's what pixie means. They're the itty bitty fairies.
Maybe that's even where the word pixel comes from.
It's my time to shine.
Oh, so this is one of the sexism storylines that Pathfinder insists on putting in its game.
Yeah. They never have anything... They never have anything to say about sexism except that it is bad. But they keep bringing that up.
It's such a Saturday morning... Like, I'm not opposed to having, like, stuff like that in fantasy settings, but, like, in such a Saturday morning setting, and it's really, like, a Saturday morning tabletop setting, it's like, just don't include it. Like, for a tabletop setting, I think a lot of people just, like, you're there just to have fun. So, like, having, like, the real world stuff come in is not fun, necessarily. And also, Pathfinder does not handle it well. There's always this weird implication of the way they handle sexism, where, like, it's very, like, it comes off as very, men and women are different on, like, a fundamental universal level. Like, the lawful evil... I mean, the lawful evil gods are all, like, male, and, like, hell is sexist against women for some reason, even though Asmodeus is, like, is one of the oldest spirits in existence in Pathfinder lore, and also he's sexist against women for some reason. Like, why does he even have a gender?
Yeah, like, the only reason he should even be recognizably male is because that is the guise he takes on for interacting with mortals, right? Like, he shouldn't be no more attached to that than you are to, like, a jacket you put on. It might be your favorite jacket, but, like, it's not part of your identity.
And, like, I think, like, part of it is because in the Ars Goetia, I might be pronouncing that wrong, all the demons...
I think it is pronounced Goetia, but... Although it's Latin, so strictly speaking, the proper pronunciation is Goetia. However,
But it's probably Church Latin, right? So it's going to be different than actual Latin.
It's true, because, yeah, I'm thinking I only ever learned actual Roman Latin, and I forgot most of that.
I don't know. That's one of those things, is like, how would Johann Dwyer have pronounced it? Because he might have been, because it's like the 1500s, I don't know if they've switched to doing the correct pronunciation of Latin words yet. They might still be doing Church Latin. Also, I don't think that was Johann Dwyer. I'm thinking of the Pseudo-Monarchia. But regardless, that book, you know what we're talking about, the book with the all the demons in it, that you see get referenced in fantasy all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great source for weird, freaky demon ideas, you know?
Yeah. In that book, all the demons are referred to as he, but that's because he was used as the gender-neutral pronoun. Like, they're spirits, they explicitly do not have a gender. if you were translating it, you would change the he to they, because they don't have a gender. They're spirits. Spirits are something. Gender is something a mortal has, a human
Right.
has. Like, so just going, well, they're all called he in the demonologies is not really a good justification, because it's like, well, they're he, but they're really supposed to be they. They just didn't use they as gender neutral at the time. And like because some of them are explicitly described as appearing as women. I think Paimon is described as appearing as a woman.
Unworthy.
But
Yeah,
it's like it's bad. It's like Cam said, it's ultimately the gender is just a guise for them. Like they're
Right.
spirits. They don't actually have any sex organs. Like there's this weird like implication in a lot of Pathfinder lore of like men being law and women being chaos, and it's just very uncomfortable because they seem to have encoded it into the setting on a cosmological level, and it's like, ugh. Why does Asmodeus care about gender?
Yeah, it's a weird prefixation for a lot of Pathfinder products.
And just like Galarian is not a setting to explore like dark stuff or deep stuff. It's a Saturday morning
Yeah.
setting.
And, like, that's totally fine, right? Like, I don't know why it keeps wanting to be this darker setting with, like, real serious stuff to say. Like, it's real Lego Batman vibes here, right? Like, darkness, no parents.
Like, it just. I think they've kind of tried to move away with it in the second edition because, like, they never handled it well. Like, they're trying to move away from like single gender races. I like single gender races just because like it's more fantastical. Like if it race is like they're only women, only men. I think it shows that like this is not just like a standard real world biology. But the problem is with Pathfinder especially is it ended up always coming off like super sexist. Like
Yeah.
they always end up being everything has to be a sexy lady. Like the Kelpies are all female and they're all sexy ladies. So Pathfinder is like probably for them they should just not have single gender races because they always end up like badly fumbling it.
Right. And, like, it's something that you have to do right to pull off.
We set our camp.
Was there a
and
random encounter out
Pathfinder-
here?
That was weird. Is there something we're missing?
Well, let's camp, guys.
Pathfinder is just generally not able to handle this sort of stuff.
Lindsay, I'm telling you for the last time. Stop checking whether I'm sleeping or meditating. I've told you 100 times I don't need sleep.
Fine. I'm just curious whether you'd snore someday during meditation.
I mean,
I mean-
if she's undead, she doesn't need to breathe.
Plus, she's an elf. Can you imagine an elf doing anything as uncouth as snoring? I guess these camp dialogues are eventually, as we phase out all of our NPCs with voice dialogue for Twinks.
We'll just make up some camp dialogue. What would Prince and Grey say to Ashlyn, right?
I mean, he'd probably just, like, look in his direction with a mysterious smile on his face, concealing the longing beneath a facade of aloofness. Ashlan would be like, composing some, just off the top of his head, composing some little ballad about, that's like a thinly veiled love story between himself and Kiernan. Kiernan is stringing him along for the giggles.
Greetings.
Now, how is Telin making this situation worse?
I have urgent news from Resta. The investigation that I've conducted at Lady Jamandi's orders has proved your...
What? Tartusio? No!
Still is the Pitaxian spy. That dreadful night, it was him who had opened...
Oh, is this the Sycamore?
It appears that he had planned to gain the barony...
We're headed in that direction. I don't know if we actually got there yet. Wasn't paying that much attention to the map.
This is the encounter I got before the Sycamore.
Anyway, Lady Jamandi's...
Oh, and for listeners, I went and got Kingmaker myself, and have been playing it simultaneously on normal mode instead of easy baby mode, which is why I know some of the stuff that's coming up. Like, I did play the tabletop of Chamomile, but he changed it enough that, like, I can't really look to that. Also, video game versus tabletop.
The Sword Lords will remember this favor.
And in the video game, I'm not constantly getting outvoted when I have a good idea. Yeah, this is the Sycamore. On the tabletop game, we sided with the kobolds. I don't remember if there was a vote on that or not. I wanted to at least give the mites a chance, since, you know, I want to help my fellow Fae out, but got outvoted. So we did not. I don't know if that would have even been a viable option.
Yeah, now you can pick each other one we want.
What?
We had a palette. You can pick whichever one you want in the tabletop version. But we had like a paladin of Tiamat in the party, so you know. Helping out the reptilians was a strong motivation for that guy.
Now, I'm not a fan of the Pathfinder mites, just because, like, they're Fae. What does that mean? Well, they're basically very small goblins. You could just have them just be a type of goblin, and no one would be able to tell. There's nothing Fae about them. Like, if they're Fae, they need to seem fundamentally different from, like, a mortal species in some way. Like, they have to sneak into villages and harvest people's sadness, and that's what they eat or something.
Right.
Something weird.
That actually sounds pretty cool. I do dislike, there's a couple of things that are basically just goblins. Kobolds are actually an example of that. They're ingrained enough in D&D lore that you can't really be rid of them. But they are basically just a goblin alternative.
Yeah, I think connecting them more to dragons would make them more interesting, like having them be the minions of dragons always.
Yeah, that's usually how I run them, as little dragon spies and scouts and servants.
Like, which was the thing in 3rd edition, and then Pathfinder, like, kind of inherited it, but then they did the thing where they want to change stuff for no reason, and now they're not connected with dragons. They're created by the Vault Builders, and also they look like newts. Ken and I looked at the terrible new 2nd edition art for Cold.
Oh, the 2nd edition art is terrible, which is too bad, because Pathfinder art is generally pretty good, but not 2nd edition art.
Has been a step down, and especially for the kobolds, which were just...
The kobolds, the hobgoblins are a train wreck. I still love their chibi adamantine golem. That is just hilariously terrible.
Whenever you scroll down, you're like, well, this could be good. Oh, what? You get to his feet. Okay, so obviously we're going to side. Okay, so there's 2 ways we can do it. We probably have less encounters if we stay neutral. Someone would side with the mites as the fellow Fae.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and side with the mites and Queen Bada. Especially because if we get another queen or 2, that makes her an empress.
Yeah, and also the kobolds are working with Tartusio. Like, maybe they were tricked by him, but, you know. Look, this is going to be a kingdom for Faye. We are going to side with Narissa when she shows up. That combat bark gets annoying very fast.
Yeah, I'm making combat barks that aren't annoying really fast is really tricky. I don't think I've ever seen a video game really pull it off.
It's like in some of the guards' comments in Skyrim start to get really...
Right.
Like, we all know how memed the arrow in the knee thing got, but, like, all of them got really annoying. Like, for a werewolf, which, you know, for no reason at all, my character is werewolf, just because there was no mummy option, obviously. The guards are like, is that fur coming out of your ears? Just constantly. Should I repeat what I said, or?
Nah.
I'm sure our viewer doesn't mind. Viewer, if you mind, let us know. Like, this podcast exists for you specifically at this point. Like, take advantage of it. Leave a comment. Viewer, how is your day going?
Despicable.
Your time is over. You deserved it.
This is a very evasive kobold.
Yeah, some of the dice rolls, I think, are not amazing. A kobold is also one of those enemies that should really go down.
This is apparently some kind of special kobold, but... He's like a kobold soot blade or something. Blade scale.
The dangers don't frighten me. Away, you rascal.
Advance.
This map is also where the moon radish is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know if we even have a quest for that. It's like the
I
first
think we
quest you
should've
get in
gotten
the
them at
tabletop version, but...
We should have gotten them at the same time as the Fangberries. Unless that timed out or something.
I don't know why they would. Like, it was the very first quest we picked up was the Fangberry one. There's a problem in tabletop games that I have not yet found the solution to. Which is that it's weird if your NPCs sit on their ass and do nothing all day. Right? Like they come across as really lazy and ineffectual.
Yeah.
But also having them actually participate in combat ever is also generally more annoying than not.
Yeah.
You can make excuses about why they can't participate in this specific combat, but eventually those excuses run out.
Stand down.
How'd you handle that in Petals and Thorns?
Onward.
Well, in Petals and Thorns, there's a war on, which luckily means that for the most part, it makes sense that NPCs have other shit to do. But there are a couple of places where the dungeon that you're running is just too important to a certain faction for them to plausibly stay out of it. And at that point, it just kind of turns into a slog. The Great Hive in particular comes to mind. So yeah, as I mentioned, it is a problem I have not yet solved.
I'm gonna say for Amiri, she does consistently do crazy high damage.
Yeah, no, she gets like 23 points of damage in every attack. She's probably going to be the last NPC we kick out, except for maybe Lindsay. But Jaethel is next on the chopping block for sure.
I don't know. We might have to have a twink barbarian replace Amiri at some point, right? Like, because she's pretty clearly doing it.
This is where I step in.
Chamomile at one point Google image search the term twink barbarian.
Yes. In the fourth book of this, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but in the fourth book of this, barbarians feature prominently, and as a joke, I had the standard barbarian portrait be a twink barbarian.
He was more of a hunk barbarian, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I already had a vague understanding of the gay body type terminology, but I just couldn't find anything that was. I mean, come on, you think of a barbarian, you basically think of a hunk. So, like, in fact, you totally could have a twink barbarian. I think there's even a Frank Frazetta painting illustration. There's a Frank Frazetta that has a twink barbarian, but it's definitely not what springs to mind. And I was not able to find.
Talk about Conan. That you said that Conan's more of a twunk.
Yeah, like, he's definitely not full on twink. Robert E. Howard goes on about his mighty thews for sure. He's very tall, but he's also extremely agile and stealthy, and lithe and such. So, yeah. And apparently, the same thing happened to Tarzan, which I did not know.
It was Johnny Weissmuller in the early versions of the early films was very barrel-chested and sort of overtook the Tarzan image for a while. The Disney goes back more towards the twunk. The Disney version is like borderline a twink. I don't know. It's hard to tell with an animated character.
Despicable.
I mean, I'm sure the hentai artists have figured it out. The internet wasn't quite in full swing then, so, there's probably not Tarzan art the way there is, for example, Frozen art. If you want some Elsa Anna incest, you sure can have it.
Have you seen the Captain Frozen edits of Frozen?
I have not.
Or Constable Frozen? I don't remember what this guy's name is. He's on Tumblr, and it's definitely, like, it's not explicitly sexual, but it's got to be a fetish thing. It's one of those.
Let's try this way.
Seems to have worked out all right. Good try.
Bring it!
You deserved it.
On the topic of, since we're fighting, once again, Tasmanian tigers, topic of accents in fantasy settings, it's kind of funny you don't really hear Australian accents ever in, like, fantasy movies or stuff, because, like, usually we use British accents to code anything that's supposed to be, like, old or not of this world.
Yeah, funny enough.
Australian accent is a relatively modern accent, like, but it's also pretty similar to the British accent.
But you'll have British accents on Roman characters,
Yeah.
which is kind of hilarious. Like, at that point, you may as well just give them American accents, right? Like, they're both incorrect, so...
Like...
I mean, you could also give them an Italian accent if you want to be actually accurate, but, I mean, I don't know if many actors can do an Italian accent. They all learn how to do British accents.
Yeah. Might as well just do... You can think of, like, so Dragon Age Origins, I think, is the best of the Dragon Age games, but it had some weirdness with the accents, because, so it's fine, like, if you don't want to, like, it was a little weird, like, just from, like, it was breaking from the normal standard, because what they did is, humans had, British accents, and then, elves and dwarves all had like the North American accent, which is like, if you want to like, normally we make the American accent in this situation the uncoded accent, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But then there was no reason the dwarves and the elves should have the same accent. That's just very like, and also like the city elves and the Dalish elves have the same accent. The city elves should have the same accent as humans, or they should have like an accent that's very closely related. Like if humans have are doing received pronunciation, and the city elves are doing like a Cockney accent, that makes sense. But the city elves are culturally like much closer to the humans, and which is with Zebran, who is a city elf from Antiva, which is sort of Spain. He's got a very clear Spanish accent, which makes sense. But it doesn't make sense that the dwarves, the Dalish elves, and the city elves, who are all three very distinct cultures, all have the same accent. Like, either at that point, you should have just made everybody have the North American accent. I think in the later games, they give the elves Irish accents, and I think they keep the dwarves having North American accents.
Yeah, so just give in and make him Scottish like everyone else.
Yeah. I wonder, did that originate with the Lord of the Rings movies? Because I know, doesn't Gimli have a Scottish accent in that? I feel like it's older than that, but I heard somebody say that that's where it originated.
And the Lord of the Rings movies are definitely part of that trend. I couldn't tell you whether or not they originated it.
I wonder if it's Warhammer, because I know Warhammer would write a lot of stuff in accents. So what if they were writing the dwarven stuff with a Scottish accent, and a lot of the accents they were doing were British accents.
This should do it.
Waiting for these giant centipedes to come out and play has been real annoying. Like, okay, apparently there's still one of them out here. No idea where.
Oh, they're
there it
hiding.
is. Yeah, they're like hiding in the tall grass.
That's weird. They never did that
Time is over.
when I was playing, and I was playing on normal, and you're playing on easy baby mode.
Right.
I wonder if I put more points into perception.
That might be it. I think I do have someone who is like perception focused in this party, but
I wonder if I'm getting like if every party member is making a roll, and I just have more spread out, I might just be getting more rolls. Like I've got advantage essentially.
right. Or even just maybe I forget who my perception party member is. Maybe they're just maybe I've just been keeping them in the back.
Just letting the ink dry. Applause, please.
No.
See something. What troubles you?
So when I was playing through, Lindsay triggered these traps, and they are, guess what they are?
Applause, please.
I was actually kind of wondering what they are, like fire traps. I don't know.
Anything else?
It's entangle. The spell goes off, and it's so annoying because it doesn't appear to go away, and so you just have to move your characters through the entangle very, very, very slowly. You can also get hit by web in this dungeon, and you also have to, it doesn't appear to go away, and just move the characters through them very, very, very slowly after you do the fight. Very annoying.